Number 7 is the 1981 Jeep Scrambler, also known as the CJ8. The first time I saw one, I honestly couldn't decide what I was looking at. Was it a Jeep? Was it a pickup truck? Or was it simply two completely different vehicles trying to share the same body? Because the Jeep Scrambler looks like someone took the legendary Jeep CJ, grabbed the rear end, stretched it a little farther than it was supposed to go, added a tiny cargo bed, and called it a pickup. And somehow, that became one of Jeep's most unusual production vehicles. On paper, the idea sounded brilliant. Take everything people already loved about the Jeep CJ, its rugged four-wheel drive system, its removable doors and roof, its incredible off-road ability, then add a pickup bed so owners could carry tools, camping gear, motorcycles, or work equipment. It sounded like the perfect combination: the freedom of a Jeep, the usefulness of a truck, the best of both worlds. Unfortunately, reality wasn't quite that simple. The biggest problem became obvious the moment you looked at the back. Yes, it had a pickup bed, but calling it practical might have been a little generous. Compared with full-size American pickups from Ford, Chevrolet, or Dodge, the cargo area looked tiny. You could carry camping equipment, fishing gear, a few toolboxes, or maybe some bags of mulch from the hardware store. But if your job required hauling lumber, construction materials, or anything truly heavy, the Scrambler quickly ran out of space. It looked like a pickup, it just didn't work like one. And that's where many buyers became confused. Truck buyers wanted more cargo capacity. Jeep buyers wanted maximum off-road capability. The Scrambler landed somewhere in the middle. It wasn't a full-size truck, it wasn't a standard Jeep. It was trying to satisfy two completely different groups of customers at the same time. And that isn't always easy. The styling also divided opinions. From the front, it looked exactly like the familiar Jeep CJ everyone recognized. Short hood, round headlights, flat fenders, the classic Jeep face. Everything looked perfectly normal. Then your eyes moved toward the back, and suddenly the wheelbase kept going. The body stretched farther than expected. Behind the seats sat a small pickup bed that almost looked like someone added it at the last minute. The proportions felt unusual, almost awkward. Some people loved the unique appearance. Others thought it looked like a Jeep that had accidentally been pulled apart. It was longer than a normal CJ, but not long enough to feel like a real pickup. It occupied a strange middle ground that nobody else was really building. Behind the wheel, the Scrambler still felt very much like a Jeep. It loved dirt roads, it climbed rocky trails with confidence. Its four-wheel drive system made it incredibly capable away from pavement. In places where full-size pickups struggled because of their size, the Scrambler could squeeze through narrow trails with ease. This was where the truck finally showed its true personality. It wasn't built to dominate construction sites, it was built for adventure. Hunters loved it, campers appreciated it, outdoor enthusiasts found plenty of reasons to enjoy it. The small cargo bed became perfect for coolers, tents, spare tires, and off-road equipment. For that kind of lifestyle, the design actually made a lot of sense. But if someone walked into a dealership expecting a serious work truck, disappointment was not far away. The payload couldn't compete with traditional pickups. The cargo bed was limited. The wheelbase was shorter than a Jeep, but still shorter than most trucks. It felt like a compromise from every direction. Even the name added to the confusion. Scrambler sounded adventurous, it sounded exciting, it sounded like a vehicle ready to climb mountains. But many buyers simply looked at it and asked, why wouldn't I just buy a regular Jeep? Or why wouldn't I just buy a real pickup? Those questions followed the Scrambler throughout its production. Ironically, that's also why it became so special, because while many vehicles disappear into history for being ordinary, the Scrambler became memorable for refusing to fit into any category. It wasn't trying to copy Ford, it wasn't trying to copy Chevrolet, it wasn't trying to compete directly with traditional pickups. It created its own niche years before lifestyle trucks became popular. Today, vehicles that combine off-road capability with pickup practicality are everywhere. Modern trucks like the Jeep Gladiator prove that the idea eventually found a much larger audience. But back in 1981, many buyers weren't quite sure what to make of it. It looked unusual, it was longer than a Jeep, shorter than a pickup, more practical than an SUV, less practical than a truck.
It was a vehicle that constantly asked buyers to compromise. And that's exactly what makes the 1981 Jeep Scrambler CJ8 such an interesting piece of automotive history. It wasn't a bad Jeep, it wasn't a bad pickup, it just wasn't perfect at being either one. Half Jeep, half pickup, a little bit of everything. And perhaps that's why people still stop and admire one today, because sometimes the most unforgettable vehicles are the ones that never fit neatly into any category at all.
Number 6 is the 1977 Chevrolet C10 Bonanza. The first time I saw a Chevrolet C10 Bonanza, I honestly thought it was trying a little too hard to impress people. Because this wasn't just a pickup truck, it was a pickup truck dressed for a party. Bright paint, extra chrome, decorative trim everywhere, special badges, fancy wheels, a nicer interior. It looked like Chevrolet had opened the accessories catalog, pointed at every available option, and simply said, "We'll take all of it." The idea behind the Bonanza package was actually pretty clever. By the late 1970s, pickup trucks were starting to become more than just work vehicles. More people were buying trucks for everyday driving, family trips, and personal transportation, instead of using them only on farms or construction sites. Chevrolet recognized that change before many of its competitors. So instead of building only tough work trucks, the company decided to make one that looked a little more stylish and a little more comfortable. The Bonanza package was Chevrolet's way of saying, why can't a pickup feel a little luxurious? On paper, it sounded like a great idea. Take the dependable C10, add premium trim, install a more comfortable interior, dress it up with chrome and bright paint, and create a truck that people would be proud to park in their driveway instead of hiding behind the garage. And visually, it definitely worked. Compared with a standard work-spec C10, the Bonanza immediately stood out. The chrome sparkled, the body trim caught your attention, the paint looked richer. The cabin felt far more comfortable than buyers expected from a pickup truck in the 1970s. It almost felt like Chevrolet wanted people to forget they were driving a work vehicle. But that's exactly where the criticism began, because underneath all the shiny decorations, it was still a Chevrolet C10. The same frame, the same basic truck, the same hard-working mechanical foundation. The chrome didn't increase the towing capacity. The fancy trim didn't make it haul heavier loads. The special badges didn't magically turn it into a completely different machine. Most of the changes were cosmetic, and some buyers noticed immediately. The Bonanza looked expensive. It looked upscale. It looked like something that belonged outside a country club instead of a construction site. But when it came time to do real truck work, it performed almost exactly like any other C10. That created an interesting contradiction. The truck wanted to look refined, yet it was still expected to haul lumber, pull trailers, and get covered in dirt. Some owners loved that combination. Others thought it completely missed the point of owning a pickup. After all, if you're worried about scratching chrome trim or damaging expensive paint, are you really going to use the truck the way it was designed? For many people, the Bonanza became less of a work truck and more of a fashion statement. It was the pickup you washed every weekend, the one you proudly parked out front, the one you took cruising on Friday night instead of loading with bags of cement. And honestly, that may have been Chevrolet's plan all along. The company understood something important. America's relationship with pickup trucks was changing. People didn't just want tools anymore. They wanted vehicles with personality. They wanted comfort, style, convenience. The Bonanza was one of the early signs that pickups were beginning to evolve into lifestyle vehicles. Today, that idea seems completely normal. Modern pickups offer leather seats, giant touchscreens, premium sound systems, heated steering wheels, panoramic roofs, and luxury car levels of comfort. But back in 1977, decorating a pickup truck this heavily felt unusual. Some traditional truck buyers laughed at it. They believed pickups should stay simple, strong, practical, easy to repair. The Bonanza seemed more interested in looking good than getting dirty. Of course, none of that made it a bad truck. The C10 platform was already one of the most respected pickups of its era.
Reliable, comfortable, easy to maintain, capable of handling everyday work. The Bonanza package simply wrapped all of that in a much flashier package. Some people loved the extra style. Others thought Chevrolet had gone a little too far. Today, the 1977 Chevrolet C10 Bonanza has become a fascinating collector's truck because it perfectly represents the changing identity of the American pickup. It marked the moment when trucks stopped being just workhorses and started becoming personal vehicles. It proved that buyers were willing to pay for appearance, comfort, and luxury, not just payload and horsepower. But it also proved something else. No matter how much chrome you add, no matter how many stripes, badges, or fancy options you install, underneath it all, it's still the same pickup truck. The 1977 Chevrolet C10 Bonanza looked more like a fashion accessory than a work truck. And maybe that's exactly why people still remember it nearly 50 years later.
Number 5 is the 1965 International Harvester C120 Travelette. The first time you see this truck, there is one thought that immediately comes to mind. Did someone stretch a pickup truck too far and just decide to stop there? Because the International Harvester C120 Travelette looks like a normal pickup that kept growing until the designers finally said, okay, that's probably enough. And even then, they might have gone a little too far. But the crazy part is, this truck wasn't a joke. It was actually one of America's first true crew cab pickups. Today, a four-door pickup truck is everywhere. You see families driving them, construction crews using them, off-road enthusiasts building them. They're one of the most popular truck designs in the world. But in 1965, this idea was incredibly unusual. International Harvester looked at traditional pickups and noticed a problem. A normal truck could carry cargo, but what if you needed to carry a full crew of workers too? What if a construction company had several employees who needed to travel together with their tools? What if a farmer wanted a truck that could carry both equipment and the whole family? The solution seemed obvious. Make the cab bigger, add more doors, add more seats. Create a truck that could do the job of both a passenger vehicle and a work truck. On paper, it was brilliant. The Travelette offered something most pickups of the era simply couldn't: space, real passenger space. This wasn't a tiny jump seat squeezed behind the driver. This was a full cabin where multiple adults could sit comfortably. For businesses and work crews, it was a genuinely useful idea. But there was one problem. The design looked completely different from anything people were used to, and not everyone loved what they saw. The biggest issue was the proportions. A normal pickup had a certain visual balance. The front section, the cab, the bed, everything seemed to fit together naturally. The Travelette changed that formula. The cab became massive, the roofline stretched, the doors became longer, the passenger compartment dominated the entire truck. From the side, it almost looked like someone took a regular pickup and pulled the cab backward with a giant machine. It was as if the truck had been stretched beyond its natural limits. The front looked like a traditional work truck, the back looked like a family vehicle. The two ideas were fighting for attention, and that's what made the Travelette so unusual. It was trying to be everything at once: a work truck, a passenger carrier, a family vehicle, a commercial machine. And while that sounds perfect today, in 1965, many buyers didn't know what to think. Traditional truck owners wanted something simple. They wanted a tough machine built for hauling. They didn't necessarily want extra seats, extra doors, and a huge passenger cabin. Meanwhile, families who wanted comfort usually chose cars or station wagons. The Travelette was stuck in the middle. Too big to feel like a normal pickup, too truck-like to replace a family car, and too unusual for many buyers to understand. Driving it also came with compromises. The extended cab added significant length and weight compared with a regular pickup. Maneuvering in tight spaces became more difficult. Parking required more attention. The long body made the truck feel larger than what many drivers expected. It wasn't impossible to drive, but every turn reminded you that you were controlling a much longer machine. And the more passengers you carried, the more obvious its size became.
Of course, the same thing that made it awkward was also its biggest advantage: the extra space. The Travelette could carry people in a way normal pickups couldn't. For a work crew, it was extremely practical. Instead of sending multiple vehicles to a job site, everyone could ride together in one truck. That idea would eventually become incredibly popular, but International Harvester introduced it before the market was ready. The company was ahead of its time. The problem with being ahead of your time is that people don't always understand what you're offering. In 1965, many buyers saw a strange-looking, oversized pickup. Decades later, people saw the beginning of a truck revolution. Modern crew cab pickups owe a lot to ideas like the Travelette. Today, manufacturers build massive four-door trucks because customers demand them. Families love them. Workers need them. They have become the standard. But the Travelette was there first. It was one of the pioneers. It just happened to look a little awkward while doing it. And maybe that's why it's so interesting. The 1965 International Harvester C120 Travelette wasn't a bad truck. It was actually a very smart idea. It solved a real problem. But visually, it looked like someone kept stretching the design and forgot where to stop. A pickup, a passenger truck, a work vehicle, a family hauler, all combined into one strange, oversized package. And that's exactly why it remains one of the most unforgettable pickups ever built.
Number 4 is the 1979 Dodge Lil Red Express. Early production issues. The first time you saw this truck, you probably believed the advertisements, the graphics, the bright red paint, the giant exhaust stacks sticking out of the bed. Everything about it screamed, "This is not a normal pickup." It looked like a truck that belonged on a racetrack, a machine built to embarrass sports cars, a pickup with enough attitude to make anything else on the road move out of the way. And for a moment, people actually believed Dodge had created something unstoppable. The Dodge Lil Red Express became one of the most famous performance pickups of the late 1970s. It arrived during a strange time in American automotive history when traditional muscle cars were losing power because of emissions regulations, stricter fuel economy rules, and changing customer expectations. Big engines were disappearing, performance numbers were dropping, the muscle car era was fading. Then Dodge came along with a bright red pickup wearing huge exhaust pipes and a bold personality. It felt like a rebellion. It looked like Dodge had found a loophole, a way to bring excitement back to American performance vehicles. And visually, it was incredible. The paint, the gold graphics, the wooden bed accents, the vertical exhaust stacks behind the cab, everything about the truck was designed to grab attention. A normal pickup parked next to it suddenly looked boring. The Lil Red Express looked like it had escaped from a custom truck show and somehow ended up on a dealership lot. People loved the image, but the reality was more complicated, because underneath that aggressive appearance was still a pickup truck dealing with the challenges of the late 1970s. The biggest problem came from expectations. The truck looked like a monster. The advertising made it feel like a street machine. Buyers expected something that would destroy everything else on the road. And while the Lil Red Express was genuinely quick for its time, especially compared with many other vehicles of that era, it wasn't the unstoppable rocket people imagined. It was still limited by the technology and regulations of the period. The engine had to meet emissions requirements. The truck still used a pickup chassis. The suspension was designed for utility, not sports car handling. It was fast, but it wasn't magic. And then came the quality issues. Early production examples suffered from inconsistent assembly and reliability problems that hurt the truck's reputation. Some owners experienced issues that made the ownership experience less exciting than the advertisements suggested. The truck looked like a carefully engineered performance machine, but some examples felt more like a rushed special edition. Paint quality, fit and finish, assembly details, small problems that became much more noticeable because buyers expected something special. When you purchase a normal work truck, you expect some compromises, but when a vehicle is marketed as a legendary performance machine, every little problem becomes harder to ignore. That was the challenge Dodge faced. The Lil Red Express created huge expectations, and sometimes reality couldn't completely keep up.
The styling also created a strange contradiction. The truck looked aggressive enough to dominate the highway. The exhaust stacks looked like they belonged on a semi-truck. The graphics looked like they came straight from a race team. But the driving experience was still based on a pickup. It wasn't a lightweight sports car. It wasn't a modern performance truck. It was still a truck carrying decades of pickup DNA. And that meant compromises. The handling wasn't razor sharp. The ride wasn't designed for racing. The brakes and suspension reflected its truck origins. It was exciting, but not perfect. However, that doesn't mean the Lil Red Express was a failure. Far from it. In fact, its biggest strength was the one thing many vehicles never achieve: personality. This truck had more character than almost anything else on the road. Even people who knew its limitations couldn't deny that it was special. It represented a moment when manufacturers were searching for ways to bring excitement back to American vehicles. It was bold. It was unusual. It was impossible to ignore. And maybe that's why the early production problems are so interesting. They show the difference between a legend and reality. The advertisements showed a perfect machine. The owners experienced a real vehicle with real flaws. A truck can have a famous name, it can have incredible styling, it can become a collector icon, but at the end of the day, it still has to be built properly. Today, the 1979 Dodge Lil Red Express is remembered as one of the most recognizable performance pickups ever created. Collectors love the wild styling and the history behind it, but the early trucks remind us that even legends aren't always perfect from day one. It looked like it could outrun anything on the road. It sounded aggressive. It had the attitude of a race machine. But quality issues, emissions restrictions, and inconsistent production proved one important lesson. Sometimes, the hardest thing isn't creating a legend, it's making sure the legend actually lives up to the hype.
Number 3 is the 1966 Dodge 100 Custom Sports Special. The first time you see this truck, you can tell exactly what Dodge was trying to do. They wanted to take a simple work pickup and give it some attitude. They wanted people to look at a truck and think, this isn't just something for hauling tools and farm equipment. This is something you can actually have fun driving. So Dodge created the Custom Sports Special, one of its earliest attempts to turn a basic pickup into a sporty lifestyle vehicle. And on paper, it sounded like a great idea. Take the dependable D100 pickup, add bucket seats, add sporty interior details, add special badges, add flashy trim, give it a more aggressive appearance, create a truck that feels closer to a muscle car. It was Dodge's way of bringing some of that 1960s performance car excitement into the pickup market. Because at the time, America was obsessed with sporty vehicles. Muscle cars were everywhere. The Dodge Charger was becoming famous. The GTO was creating a performance revolution. Young buyers wanted vehicles that had personality. They didn't just want something practical, they wanted something exciting. Dodge looked at that trend and thought, why should cars have all the fun? And that's where the D100 Custom Sports Special came in. From the outside, it definitely tried to look special. The extra trim, the unique graphics, the chrome details, the sporty badges. Everything was designed to separate it from ordinary work trucks sitting beside it. A regular D100 looked like a tool. The Sports Special looked like it wanted to go cruising on Friday night. Inside, Dodge continued the theme. The addition of bucket seats was a big deal. Remember, most pickups of the era were still very basic inside. They were designed around function. Vinyl seats, simple dashboards, minimal comfort. They were machines meant to work. The Sports Special tried to change that image. The bucket seats made the cabin feel more like a car than a traditional truck. It gave the driver a feeling that this was something personal, something they could enjoy, not just something they needed. But then you started driving it, and that's when reality returned. Because no matter how many sporty parts Dodge added, underneath everything was still a pickup truck. The suspension was built for carrying loads. The chassis was designed for work. The handling was nowhere near what you would expect from a true performance car. It looked ready for a race, but it still drove like a truck wearing a very stylish outfit. And that became the biggest problem.
The appearance created a promise that the driving experience couldn't completely deliver. It was like putting a racing jacket on a farmer and expecting him to suddenly become a professional athlete. The jacket looks impressive, but the person underneath is still the same. The D100 Custom Sports Special had exactly that personality. It wore the image of a performance machine, but underneath it was still a hard-working pickup. Of course, that doesn't mean it was bad. The D100 was a capable truck. It could handle daily driving, it could carry cargo. It had the durability people expected from a Dodge pickup. The problem was simply that buyers wanted the excitement to match the styling. They saw the sporty badges, they saw the bucket seats, they saw the aggressive appearance, and they imagined something closer to a muscle truck. But what they received was a practical pickup with a little extra personality. And maybe that's why the truck is so interesting today, because the Custom Sports Special was part of a major change in American truck culture. It was one of the early signs that pickups were becoming more than just work tools. Manufacturers were beginning to understand that people wanted trucks for personal use. They wanted comfort, they wanted style, they wanted something that represented them. The D100 Custom Sports Special helped create the path toward the modern sport pickup. Today's performance trucks with powerful engines, luxury interiors, and aggressive styling exist partly because vehicles like this tested the idea first. But back in 1966, the formula wasn't fully developed yet. Dodge had the right idea, they just didn't have the technology to completely achieve it. The 1966 Dodge 100 Custom Sports Special was a truck that wanted to be a muscle car. It had the look, it had the attitude, it had the personality. But when you pushed the accelerator and turned the wheel, it reminded you exactly what it was. A pickup truck, a capable work machine, a farm truck wearing a varsity jacket. And that's exactly why it remains such a fascinating piece of automotive history.
Number 2 is the 1975 GMC Gentleman Jim. The first thing you notice about this truck is that GMC clearly wanted it to look special. Not just a pickup, not just a work vehicle. They wanted it to feel like something much more expensive, something closer to a luxury muscle car. And their solution was simple. Take a regular GMC pickup, paint it black, add gold stripes, cover it with extra chrome, throw on some special badges, and give it a fancy name, the Gentleman Jim. It sounds less like a truck and more like a wealthy businessman who owns a private yacht. And honestly, that was exactly the image GMC was chasing. During the 1970s, pickup trucks were beginning to change. They were no longer only tools for farmers, construction workers, and businesses. More people were buying trucks as personal vehicles. They wanted something comfortable, something stylish, something they could drive every day. Manufacturers noticed this trend and started creating special editions designed to make pickups feel more premium. The Gentleman Jim was GMC's attempt to enter that world. The idea was simple. Why should sports cars get all the attention? Why can't a pickup have some style too? So GMC created a truck that looked like it was wearing a tuxedo. The black paint gave it a serious, aggressive appearance. The gold graphics added a luxury touch. The chrome details made it shine. The special trim helped separate it from ordinary work trucks. Park it next to a standard GMC pickup, and the difference was obvious. The regular truck looked like it belonged on a job site. The Gentleman Jim looked like it belonged outside a fancy restaurant. It had presence. It had confidence. It had the kind of styling that made people turn their heads. But then you looked closer, and that's where the problem started. Because underneath all that expensive-looking decoration was still the same basic GMC pickup. The engine wasn't suddenly transformed into a high-performance monster. The suspension wasn't redesigned for sports car handling. The truck didn't become faster, sharper, or more exciting just because it had gold stripes. It was still a work truck, a capable one,
but a work truck nonetheless. And that created a strange contrast. The appearance promised something dramatic. The driving experience delivered something much more ordinary. It was like putting a luxury suit on someone who still had to go back to the factory and do the same job afterward. The suit looked impressive, but the person underneath hadn't changed. The Gentleman Jim had exactly that personality. It was a regular pickup dressed up for a special occasion, and for some buyers, that was perfectly fine. Not everyone wanted a powerful performance truck. Some people simply wanted something unique, something different from every other pickup in the parking lot, something that showed personality. And in that sense, the Gentleman Jim succeeded, because you definitely noticed it. A regular truck could disappear into traffic. The Gentleman Jim demanded attention. The black and gold combination was impossible to miss. But for traditional truck enthusiasts, the question remained, was this actually a special truck or just a regular truck wearing expensive clothes? That debate followed the Gentleman Jim throughout its life. Some people loved the appearance. They appreciated the rare styling and the attempt to make pickups more personal. Others thought GMC was trying to sell luxury without making any meaningful mechanical improvements. They saw it as a truck where the marketing was more exciting than the machine itself. And honestly, both opinions make sense, because the Gentleman Jim represented an important moment in truck history. It showed that manufacturers were beginning to understand something. People don't only buy vehicles for what they can do, they buy them for how they feel. A pickup could be practical and stylish. It could be useful and fashionable. It could be a tool and a personal statement. The problem was that GMC was still figuring out how to balance those two worlds. The Gentleman Jim had the style part, but the substance was mostly unchanged. Today, that is exactly why collectors find it interesting. It captures the personality of the 1970s perfectly. A decade where cars and trucks became more expressive, where manufacturers experimented with bold colors, special editions, and unusual ideas. The 1975 GMC Gentleman Jim wasn't the fastest truck, it wasn't the strongest, it wasn't the most advanced, but it had something many ordinary pickups didn't have: a personality. It looked like a luxury muscle truck. It had the attitude of a custom show vehicle. It arrived wearing black paint and gold stripes like it was ready for a red carpet event. But underneath, it was still the same hard-working pickup. A work truck wearing a tuxedo. A regular machine trying to become more. And that's exactly why the Gentleman Jim remains unforgettable. Because it proved one thing: you can add all the chrome, stripes, and fancy badges you want, but style alone can't completely transform what's underneath.
Number 1 is the 1969 Jeep Gladiator Thrift Side. The first time you see this truck, you immediately notice something feels wrong. It looks familiar, but at the same time, something about the design just doesn't seem to fit. It's almost like Jeep took two completely different trucks, put them together, and hoped nobody would notice. But everyone noticed. Because the 1969 Jeep Gladiator Thrift Side was one of those vehicles where the idea sounded much better on paper than it looked in reality. Jeep already had a reputation for building tough, rugged machines. The Gladiator was supposed to bring that legendary Jeep toughness into the pickup truck world. It had a strong chassis, four-wheel drive capability, a serious work truck attitude. It was built for people who needed something durable, something that could handle rough roads, farms, trails, and demanding jobs. But Jeep also wanted to make the truck look more modern, more stylish, more like the popular pickups coming from Ford and Chevrolet. So they introduced the Thrift Side version. The goal was simple: give the rugged Gladiator a smoother, more streamlined appearance. Instead of the traditional step-side pickup bed with exposed rear fenders, Jeep tried to create a cleaner style-side look, where the bed sides flowed smoothly with the cab. Sounds like a smart idea.
The problem was the execution. Because the Gladiator's proportions were already unique. The front half looked like a classic Jeep work truck, tall, boxy, rugged, almost military-inspired. Then the rear suddenly tried to become something more modern and stylish. The smooth-sided bed looked like it belonged to a completely different vehicle. From certain angles, it appeared as if Jeep had taken a traditional truck and attached a smoother, newer-looking bed without fully redesigning the rest of the vehicle. The result was awkward. Not terrible, not unusable, just visually confusing. It looked like two different design philosophies were fighting each other. One side said, "This is a tough, hard-working Jeep." The other side said, "This is a modern lifestyle pickup." And neither side completely won. The strange proportions became the biggest criticism. A good-looking truck usually has balance. The cab, hood, and bed all work together. The design feels natural. The Gladiator thrift side didn't always achieve that. The front looked heavy and traditional, the rear looked cleaner and more refined. Together, they created a truck that seemed unsure about what it wanted to be. And for buyers in 1969, that mattered. The pickup market was becoming increasingly competitive. Ford had the F-Series, Chevrolet had the CK trucks, Dodge was improving its pickups. Customers had plenty of choices. A truck couldn't just be capable, it also had to look right. And unfortunately for Jeep, many buyers weren't convinced. Because while the Gladiator had serious off-road ability, most pickup buyers weren't only looking for toughness. They wanted a truck that looked dependable, balanced, professional. The thrift side's unusual styling made some people question whether it was the right choice. And that's a difficult problem for any vehicle. You can have excellent engineering, you can have great capability, but if buyers don't connect with the design, sales become a challenge. To be fair, the Gladiator itself was not a bad truck. In many ways, it was ahead of its time. It offered features that modern pickup buyers now consider normal. Four-wheel drive, strong utility, a comfortable cab. A combination of work capability and everyday usability. The problem was that Jeep was trying to create that formula before the market was ready. The idea of a rugged lifestyle pickup was still developing. Most people still viewed trucks as simple work machines. They weren't looking for a vehicle that combined adventure, style, and practicality. Jeep was attempting to create a category that didn't fully exist yet. And sometimes being early means people don't understand what you're offering. Today, looking back at the Gladiator thrift side, the flaws are exactly what make it interesting. It represents a time when manufacturers were experimenting. They were trying new designs. They were searching for the future of pickup trucks. Some ideas became huge successes. Others became forgotten experiments. The 1969 Jeep Gladiator thrift side ended up somewhere in the middle. It was tough, it was capable, it had the Jeep DNA, but visually it never completely came together. It looked like two trucks that were introduced to each other and then permanently stuck together. A rugged Jeep front, a smoother pickup rear. A bold idea that didn't quite work. And that's exactly why it earns the #1 spot on this list. Because sometimes the most memorable trucks aren't the ones that were perfect. They're the ones that tried something different and proved that even a legendary brand like Jeep can sometimes build a truck that leaves everyone asking, what exactly were they thinking?